I made this flag, this Chimerica flag, as a combination of the Chinese flag and the US because of the symbiotic existence that they have had in the recent years, and also because I read some articles about the fact that China may be intending to continue that relationship for some reason, which would be a big mystery to me. It appears that that's not happening. It appears that China is really trying to be 100% self-sufficient. And I base that on the information that I have from Chinese media. And also of articles about the Bao conference, which is like an Asian G20 meeting that has followed the Western G20 meeting. You might remember this image from the Western G20 meeting, with Obama, Berlusconi and Medvedev having fun, and Mr. Wen sitting beneath them looking very serious and a little bit bored. They're not really, I don't think they care so much about the Western countries and what they do. They're just China is trying to establish or amass the resources they need to have their growth in the future. And that's in articles, different articles, they're talking about developing their own oil sources. I don't know how they're going to do that. Surprisingly, it is mentioned that Asian countries pay more for oil than Western countries. They pay $1 or $2 per barrel more. So that might even be significant amounts. And it's a reason for them to look for their own oil. They're talking about producing their own rice. In an article about rice production, food production in China, the government representative says you don't expect to be able to buy whatever you need in terms of food. You know, availability is not always guaranteed, so you have to grow your own rice. You don't want to go on the international market. And in terms of commodities, there is talk about trying to break through the pricing cartels or the price fixing, and of course oil is one of them, but iron is also mentioned because according to the Chinese or the Asian countries, iron prices should be lower than they are, because iron price is mostly determined by transportation of it, and the Baltic Dry Index, which is the shipping index, has dropped more than 90%, which would mean that iron also dropped significantly in price, but it hasn't. And so they are going basically through all the commodities and looking at them, and in the different articles that I read, there is this theme of not being very happy with resources being priced by markets that are basically rigged and fixed. And also denominated in dollars usually, and they are trying to get away from that. And I assume that they can, because after all they have a lot of money. Some of the Asian countries, they can buy their own resources, they can start mining their own mines now that for instance China did after all get a large stake in the also mines in Australia. And that is, I guess, part of Peter Schiff's earlier mentioned detachment process. But it looks like it will involve mostly Asian countries and not so much Europe and Asian countries. At least I haven't seen much proof of that yet. Anyway, I will keep following the developments, and it's very interesting. Of course, it's another interesting thing about the media is that if you check CNN, you check BBC, you check World News or USA Today or whatever you check, it's always the same news that you see. And then at a certain point you move to local news, and suddenly it's different subjects, it's different headlines. And that's very well, typical, I guess, of the Western media. Everybody tells the same story, even if it's about, I don't know, a guy that gets stuck in an elevator. You can read it in Israel, you can read it in the US, it's always the same. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye bye.